Alright guys, welcome back to a new video. We're going to be working on the Jeep Liberty, and we are going to remove the rack and pinion because it's leaving marks of oil. It's leaking. As you can tell so far, I got the wheels off, I got the car jacked up, secure, safe to where I can get underneath it and start working. And I also got the steering wheel secure so it doesn't move, because we are going to detach the bar, the shaft that connects from the steering wheel to the rack and pinion, and we don't want the steering wheel moving. So this is a good way of securing it with the seatbelt. Same thing I did on the Lexus when I removed the subframe, and the rack and pinion was going to come with it. So we are going to attempt this job by removing the rack and pinion and part of the frame holding it together down here, and we're going to try to take it out of the passenger side. So we're going to start with, we're going to disassemble the tie rod from here, from the knuckle. We're going to pop it out, and we're going to separate it from here. We're also going to loose this nut up, and we are going to take the tie rod out. Make sure you mark it so that it goes back in the same way you had it, so that you don't mess up your alignment. But if you do, so you got to get an alignment afterwards. It's up to you. But I'm going to mark it and try to put it back in the same spot. All right, guys. So let's get started with that part. All right, you're gonna need a 24mm open end. Go ahead and remove this nut. Well, not remove it, loosen it up, but not too much, so that it gives you, it depends how you did this, how you mark this. You count the threads, or you can loosen up the nut just a little bit, and just like this, right? Like this is tight, touching, the nut is touching the tie rod. You can loosen it up and leave it there, and that gives you the position of when you put it back together. You got to transfer this to the new rack and pinion inner tie rod, and then you count the threads, or you measure, do your measurement, whatever you want to do. But anyway, 24mm for the nut, and then I think this is 21, but we got to go ahead and remove the cotter pin. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to squeeze this together with a pair of pliers, and then want to pull the cotter pin out and then remove the nut. All right, the cotter pin is out, and we're removing the nut with a 21mm. Our next step is we're gonna hit right here with a hammer, and that's gonna make the tie rod pop out of the hole. Hit here, make sure you don't hit up here, hit right here. There it is. Okay, now that it's off, we can go ahead and remove it. Now everything's coming out nice and easy for me, because I did just rebuild this whole front end. So it's you're gonna struggle a little bit if you haven't taken apart your stuff in a while. So clean your threads with a wire brush before you start removing it. And you might have to use a torch to heat up the nuts, any bolts or nuts that we're gonna be removing. Okay, there it is, nice and secure. Now we're gonna move on to the next side and do the same thing on the passenger side. All right, so the next step is to get underneath the Jeep, and if you got this cover, you gotta remove it, because I try to have access to the top, and I think this cover has to be removed. I think there's some bolts we gotta have access. I know this one right here, we're gonna have to remove. And I gotta look to see which one else. Anyway, let's take this cover off and take it from there. It's gonna be 15mm. You might have to heat it up if it's rusty. It seems like it only has two, one there, one here. So let's do it. All right, guys, it's off, and I found the other 2 bolts. They're in the front, one here, and you have to go through the holes. It has holes on both sides. You have to go through the holes, and then so it has a total of 4 bolts. And the ones in the back, you can loosen them up. They don't have to come all the way out. And then you take the front off, and then you slide the cover forward, and it will come off the rear bolts. So you don't have to take on the whole weight of the cover. It's pretty heavy. And now we're gonna move on to the next step. We're gonna figure out what bolts we gotta remove. Because this whole piece right here, if I'm not mistaken, well, this definitely has to come off. I'm not sure about this, but I gotta check what's going on. So the next part is removing the bolts on the lower control arm. You have to remove this nut. It's a 24mm nut. And to hold the bolt on the other side, on this side is 21. And the reason why you gotta remove it is because you have to have access to the bolt, to this bolt right here. And that bolt comes out that way. Here's the nut on this side. And it comes out that way, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. Always mark where your suspension is, because in my case, this is where it's at. I'm gonna put it somewhere in the same spot. But this truck needs an alignment anyway, so I'm not too concerned with that. So I'm gonna be getting it as close as I can, and this is gonna go to the alignment shop anyway. But if you don't want to, make sure you mark it. All right, and like I said, that's the reason we gotta remove this bolt, so that maybe we can pry this out of the way when we are removing this bolt. You also have the option of somehow cutting it and insert the new one through here. If you don't want to remove this, you insert it through here, you get the nut in here, get it started, and then you avoid removing this whole thing. That's up to you. So I got this bolt out. It takes 18mm socket and open end. Once you get that removed, then to pull the bolt out that way, you have to stick a pry bar here and pull this thing as far down as you can with one arm, and with the other arm, grab the bolt and take it out. I use a pry bar like this one. And stuck it right in there, and then pry it all the way up as far as I can go, and just pull the bolt out. Okay, a little bit uncomfortable, but it's doable. So that one is done. I gotta do the one on this side. Same thing, guys. It's always a good idea to lubricate the bolt so that when it comes out, it doesn't strip, because they get rusty, and rust build up. You can end up ruining the threads, and you don't want that. Otherwise, you gotta buy a new bolt, or you end up cutting it, and it's a pain in the ass. So wire brush it and lubricate it. Same thing with these. I think we're gonna remove these. These are the bolts to hold the rack and pinion in place. 24mm, and I think the bolt is 24mm too. All right, guys, so I got the bolt on this side completely out. And when I was doing that, it was even harder to take it out, because remember, I took that one out, and then so the differential has 4 mounts, which is these 2 in the front and 2 in the back. So the differential was going to start falling a little bit, making this very difficult. So I jacked it up a little bit, brought it back into where what normally sits, and I was able to take the bolt out, like I said, with a pry bar here, like I did on the other side. Pry it very, very hard. Like, you're gonna have to put a lot of force into it, and eventually the bolt will come out. Also got the nuts off of this, 24mm, like I said. These are the mounting bolts for the rack and pinion that sits up here. And now we gotta see what's next, which is probably gonna be the bolts that are holding the differential in the back. I think these are them. I gotta show you what. right here. There's one here. And another one right there. That looks like it's also 18 millimeter on both sides. But you have to have a jack. You have to have some kind of device supporting the front diff. Otherwise it's gonna drop on you. And yes, these are holding it also in place. The CV joint shafts are holding it because they're attached to the suspension. So it's not really gonna drop a lot. But you wanna have that control because in case, once you got all the bolts out, then you can lower the jack and then bring it down enough to have the room that you need to get the rack out. We also gotta disconnect the lines on the rack. I gotta see how I'm gonna do that, through here or through the top. Anyway, we're almost there. We're almost there. I got those two bolts out on the rear bolts of the carrier for the diff. There's the bolt, 18 millimeter, like I said it was gonna be. And I did the other one on the other side, and I lowered the carrier just a little bit. Now, my next step would be to remove, see this plastic piece right here? Oh, by that bolt right there, and then it has another one right there. Can't see it, but it's on that side. It's like a 10 millimeter. So this is like a 13, and that's like a 10. This plastic piece gotta come off. This piece. This is for when you're taking the engine oil filter out. It drips oil, and this is like a drip pan that comes. It allows it to drip out and come out this way. So that's plastic, and you have to remove it because when I lower this, it hits on the rack and pinion right there, and we don't want that. We want that off, and we're probably gonna take the filter off too. And it is possible that that line right there, which is the breather line for the diff, we might have to remove it. I'm not sure yet. The rack is loose, but we also gotta remove the lines. It has two lines going to it, basically on the other side of this part back here. Let me see if I can show you. I might have to show you on the new one, but yeah, I'll bring out the new one and I'll show you where exactly it's located. All right, so this is the new unit I'm gonna use. It's a rebuild, most likely. Look, it looks rough, but all the seals are new and it's completely rebuilt. Comes with the inner tie rod already installed, and new boots, new seals, new everything. And anyway, what I was trying to show you guys, here are the two lines that I'm trying to reach, and I can't show you because of the lighting and the position of it, but it has one big one, one smaller one, and they look like this. So you have to get yourself a wrench in there, either a line wrench or some of these crowfoots to get in there with a ratchet and maybe an extension to get around the nut and loosen it up. Can't mess them up because one is big and the other one's small. But that's what I'm trying to reach up there. All right, guys, so I got it out, and the way I got it out, once I removed the bolt here and the bolt on the other side, the 10 millimeter, I had to remove the jack, put it over there, and I brought this whole subframe down. Well, I think they call it the carrier of the front differential. I brought it down, and it's being held by, like I said before, by the CV joint on each side, plus the drive shaft, plus this member right here is holding it. So it's not going to fall on you, but you need this room so you can remove the rack and pinion through this hole and bring it out. But anyway, that gave me access to take the plastic piece off because I could not get it out no matter what I did. I didn't have the room. So now the next step is to reach and get those lines off and take the oil filter off. So I got the oil filter, engine oil filter out, because we're gonna need all the room we can get. I got the plastic piece that I showed you guys before that I got out, and I got one of the lines loosened up. Actually, one of the lines completely off right now, the top line. Get yourself a catch pan for the filter and for the oil that's coming out of the lines. It's hard to show you guys, but it's the top line. Top line right there. See it? Now I gotta get the bottom one. We're almost there. So both lines are loose now, and the bolt that went on that part right there, which is the shaft that comes with the steering wheel, from the steering wheel to the rack and pinion, I removed the bolt. It's a 13mm head bolt. And now what I gotta do is I gotta hit right there in that square part right here where it has the slit. I gotta push it off the rack. So I'm gonna hit it with a bar, with a pry bar, and push it off. So you can't tell, but it's off. All I used was a bar like this and a hammer, and hit it and it came right out. There it is right there. So the rack and pinion is pretty much loose. Now we gotta work it out of there. But I'm gonna let it leak out first, and then I'll take it out. All right, guys, I think I'm about to pull it out. As you can tell, it has plenty of room. We just gotta grab it and wiggle it. Another thing that I had to do was, the differential has a breather tube, right? You can disconnect the hose there, or you can go all the way up and disconnect it from that piece, that round piece goes connected. Basically sits on top of a bolt on the strut on the other side. The bolts that hold the strut up. Let me see if I can show you on this side. So those bolts right there, those shiny bolts right there, it just sits on one of those, but on the other side. You gotta disconnect them, bring it down here, and take it out and put it to the side so that you have room to take the rack out. Otherwise, it gets hung on the hose. But with that said, I'm pretty sure all I gotta do is play with it and take it out this way. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, guys, I pulled it out and I twisted it so that that piece is underneath the engine, and she's pretty much coming out. And at this point, I'm stuck here. I'm doing it with one hand. But see, it's easy, guys. All you gotta do is pull it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab it with two hands and pull it completely out. But I need both hands so that I can maneuver it. And there it is, guys. She is completely out. Now the next step is I'm gonna compare it to the other one. Transfer anything that I have to transfer. For example, I don't know about the bushings. I gotta look at the bushings and see. Do I have to transfer this, or is that one good enough? This one has a rubber piece here. This one doesn't. Oh, it does. Probably gotta transfer the nuts. And then if I don't have to transfer anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and insert the new one right through there and basically do everything in reverse. It looks like it's the same. But go ahead and compare yours. Put it right next to it, make sure that it is the same before you do anything else. Also, the location of where the bolt, this is where the bolt goes in, should be set, yeah, pretty much set where it needs to be. We haven't moved that apart. We haven't moved that, but anyway, we've got to put this back in the same location that one is, according to the steering, the way we have our steering wheel. Your steering wheel might be off. Once you put it all back together, you're gonna have to get in alignment just fine. But anyway, guys, this is pretty much it. I'm not gonna record the reverse because you saw it already. Just we're going back together. We're gonna place it where it goes, and we're gonna attach the hoses. We're gonna attach the steering shaft. We're gonna bolt it, and we're gonna jack everything up and put all the bolts where they go. As far as the lines, I did use these. Like I said, the top one was 19 millimeter, and the bottom one was 18 millimeter. You can use these, or you can use regular open end wrenches. It's up to you. It was, to me, it was a pain in the ass. That was the most difficult part of this whole job. The rest, just easy. All the bolts came out right, no problem. Getting to the lines was a little difficult for me. Hopefully for you, it's not the case. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. If you like the video, if you learned something, please leave a like. Subscribe is completely free, and I'll catch you in the next one.